Hey Jonathan, will you do my Godden and Baddeley quiz?
Sure, Annie, I think I know the key study pretty well.
Okay. First question, what was the aim of the study?
The aim was to see if more words would be recalled if the context was the same for learning and recall than if the context had changed.
Okay, so question 2, what was the context manipulated by the experimenter?
The context was underwater or on land. There were two conditions in which the context remained the same: learn underwater, recall underwater, and learn on land, recall on land.
Okay, so number 3, tell me about the sample and the design.
There were 18 members of a university diving club from Scotland who took part. The design was repeated measures. This meant each participant did each of the 4 conditions.
Yes, so question 4 is how did the experimenters cancel out any order effects such as practice or getting words muddled up from the other lists learned?
Good question. I think Baddeley said it was counterbalanced, so 4 people started with the land condition, 4 started with land underwater, and so on.
Question 5 now. What was the task the divers had to do?
The learning task was to listen to a list of 38 words. When the divers were underwater, the words were played to them through a communication device. And if they were on land, they sat by the edge of the water in their diving gear, and because they had been diving already the day, they were as cold and wet as the others.
Question 6, how did Godden and Baddeley measure the dependent variable?
Okay, the divers were asked to recall as many words as they could and they wrote them down. Even underwater it was made possible for them to write them and then they were counted.
So tell me, in answer to question 7, what were the findings?
Recall was best in the land group with a mean score of 13.5 words. Next was underwater at 11.4, and then the land underwater was 8.6 and underwater land was 8.4. Or you could say that recall was around 50% higher when the context was reinstated.
Okay, so question 8. What was the conclusion of the study?
To frame it in terms of forgetting, more words were forgotten when the context was different between learning and recall because there were fewer context cues. Supports the theory.
2 more questions. Number 9 is what is one strength of the study?
Only one. Well, there weren't any participant variables due to the repeated measures design. I guess that makes it a well-planned study.
Okay, for question 10, what was one limitation of the study?
There was a possibility of a confounding variable of the opportunity of rehearsing the words when the divers didn't have to change environments. If they had to dive underwater to recall the words, or if they came to the surface, their minds would have been on that, but if they just sat there and they could have rehearsed.
So for a bonus question, what did they do about the possibility?
They ran a second experiment where instead of just sitting on land waiting to recall, the divers were instructed to swim and dive for 4 minutes. This made no difference though.
Well, all your answers were correct, including the bonus. Not many people remember that second experiment, but it showed something important.
I think your quiz was a bit too easy. You need to ask tougher questions, say on generalizability or validity.
Since you are so clever, why don't you write a quiz of your own? Anyway, thanks and well done. Bye now.